And indeed, here we go again for another edition of Real Fellas Talk Sports. I'm David Burnett, and I am joined by the three fellas. Gentlemen, how are you? Let me start with Chuck Snowden. How are you doing, Chuck?
Hey, David, I'm absolutely fantastic. I love Wednesday at 7 o'clock, as you know. I know we're getting ready to put a bow on the National Football League. What a great season. Can't wait to chop it up with my boys.
And Larry Abels, how you doing?
I'm good, David. How about yourself?
I'm doing wonderfully well in the sports capital of, of the world. And let's hopefully, Greg Finner, can you hear me?
I can.
You can?
I can hear you.
Wonderfully well. Good to know. Greg, how are you? You were the only one of us who was at the Super Bowl. We'll give you a chance a little later to tell us about your experience at the Super Bowl. How you doing tonight?
Man, I'm great. I'm on a world tour. I'm exhausted. I'm running on fumes. But the West Coast is. I'm digging being out here, man.
Where are you? Where are you, Greg?
I'm in San Diego. San Diego. I'm actually staying at the hotel right on Torrey Pines. So they still got all the stuff up from the golf tournament. It's just a beautiful sight. It really is.
Okay.
Nice.
Speaking of golf, y'all hear about Tiger's son going to Florida State?
We did. I did hear that.
Yeah. Greg, I hope we can hear you at some point. Let's start with this, and let me start with you, Chuck. Just your general feelings and impressions of what was an interesting Super Bowl, my 60th Super Bowl that I've watched. I got to tell you, I wasn't excited about it. Defense does win championships, but it was still played, and the best team did win. What do you think, Chuck?
Was it the most exciting Super Bowl in the world? Probably not, but it was still fine. It really was predictable. We all talked about this last week that we thought Seattle was the best team. If they could just not turn the ball over, right? That's the bugaboo of Mr. Sam Darnold. If he doesn't turn the ball over, let the defense do their thing, get that running game going, they were going to be okay. And I think that was exactly what happened. And in New England's, we flipped it that way too. We said, hey, they couldn't turn it over. They couldn't. They had to almost play a perfect game, and they just couldn't do it. The defense was just too good for Seattle.
Larry, your impressions about the Super Bowl 60.
I just want to remind everybody, last week I said if Sam Darnold didn't turn the ball over, Seattle will win by double digits, and that kind of happened. Actually, it was a good defensive struggle. And I got to take I think the obvious thing is Seattle's defense, but I got to take my hat off to New England's defense because they actually held the game. They made the game close and had not Drake May turn their ball over on that last drive in the fourth quarter after they had scored once. They would have cut their lead to a 1-point game. But both defenses played well. I thought defensively it was a well-played game. Not sure if the AFC had their best team there. I think the NFC probably did.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I hope we can get Greg Fenner. I hope he hears us.
I can't hear David.
Okay,
we can hear you though, Greg. He was asking what were your thoughts on the Super Bowl in general.
Okay, let's take Greg out for just a minute, let him get his system back up, and we'll be right back to him because he, again, was the only one of us who was at the Super Bowl. All right.
Yeah.
Let me ask about Drake May. And Drake May, to me, my initial impression of Drake May, first camera shot of him, this before any play, he looked nervous. Maybe he's nervous because those his left guard and left tackle didn't serve him very well. What do you think, Larry?
Was he nervous? Well, I would expect him to be nervous. I think nervousness is fine when you want to do a good job. I think his biggest problem was they couldn't keep those guys off of him. And, no quarterback likes to be hit, and they were hitting them all day long.
Well, adding to that, and I'll let you finish on this topic. He didn't play well the entire playoffs. He played a very poor series of games. what does New England have to do? Because they're going to have a much tougher schedule next year.
Well, not only that, those other three quarterbacks in that conference, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen would be there. I think they sort of got a lot of lucky breaks. Things broke their way, and as you mentioned, the schedule was favorable. I think they'll have a rough time next year.
Chuck, do you agree with that?
Yes.
You know, it's going to be a much tougher schedule, and the NFL has gone out of their way to make sure that schedules kind of flip-flop. New England arguably had the easiest schedule in the NFL, coming after 4 wins the previous season to making the Super Bowl. They will have arguably the hardest schedule this year, this upcoming season. What do you think, Chuck?
So I agree. Let me address your initial point. When they went to him at the beginning of the game and just showed his face, the thing that struck me was Drake May looked like he was about 16 years old. He just looked so young to me. His face was just so baby-like. I just wanted to make that quick point. The other point is, I agree with you about their schedule and David's point about the playoffs. He was terrible in the playoffs. He had 5 turnovers in each one of those games. Each one of the playoff games, he had 5 turnovers, right? Between interceptions and fumbles and so forth, he just wasn't good. Now, I can blame the offensive line. Maybe that was the deal. I think they're going to have a tough road next year. And I also believe that they just got, Denver's quarterback was out. The Texans quarterback, you might want to check his FanDuel account when they play.
Exactly.
I mean, it just worked out for New England. It really did. And finally, those things didn't happen in this team when they played this team that didn't have to turn the ball over and the weather was beautiful. The warts were shown.
Well, now, Greg, can you hear us?
Yes. Yeah. Hey, listen.
Don't touch a thing. Don't touch a thing.
Okay.
You are our superstar tonight because you were at the Super Bowl, and it kind of makes me jealous because I had an opportunity. I thought 30 some years ago when the then Redskins were in Minnesota, and I got bumped out of going, and I'm still ticked off 30 some years later. Tell us a little bit about your experience and then a little bit about your impressions of the game.
Yeah, so let me apologize first for my technical difficulties. I apologize to the audience for the technology rats creeping in. But let me tell you, there is nothing quite like a Super Bowl, and I think it is the ultimate sports event. And I think that's part of what happened to the Patriots. And I mentioned this before on the show, is that the bright lights, swimming pools, movie stars, everything that's going on for young players, the first time contenders, it's hard. It's hard to stay focused. It's hard to keep your wits about you. And I think that while it was the first time for Seattle in a long time, none of those players from the first Super Bowl teams was there, but they're more mature. They're a more mature bunch. That Patriots team is really young, so you got all these former players. You got the Hall of Fame people being announced. You got Bad Bunny. You got all this stuff going on, and you're supposed to focus on the first down and focus on the playbook. And I can tell you that while Vrabel is such a seasoned veteran and he did his best to get them ready, I just don't think you can overcome every wart that they showed in the playoffs. Playoffs got exploited during the Super Bowl. Yeah. That Seahawks defense is ferocious. I mean, these boys come, they come like they hit you, like Mike Tyson said, with bad intentions. I mean, they really have bad intentions. And
they played well.
They did. I just thought that, but I can tell you, San Francisco is a fantastic place for the Super Bowl. Now, the smart people stayed in town in San Francisco. Santa Clara, where the stadium is, there's nothing out there but the stadium. So the people who didn't consult with a good travel agent or really know the terrain were stuck having to grab an Uber and ride, almost an hour to get in town to do everything. But San Francisco is a great town. I tore Chinatown apart. I mean, I ate more Chinese. It's a great town to host a sporting event. Not quite like Indianapolis, but it's a great town.
I was going to say that, we're going to have some proof of concept in just a couple of months when the Final Four is once again in the Circle City.
Yeah. I'll tell you one more thing that caught my
Sure.
eye during the Super Bowl. Gonzalez for the Patriots batted down several balls, played a phenomenal game. We
Tremendous.
actually drafted Forbes ahead of him, if you can believe that.
The
So the Commanders
Commanders.
drafted Forbes and left Gonzalez on the board, which I thought to myself, reason 17B why we are kind of taking the gas right now. But you know, he was phenomenal. I thought he played a fantastic game.
Well, the good thing about the Commanders is they'll have a reasonable schedule and they may be able to bounce back
They just
next
might.
season. Let me ask you this. We all of us have kind of taken a little bit of a shot against Drake May, who looked, in my eyes, a little lost, a little petrified, but he does have some excuses. Will Campbell, rookie left tackle, short
Oh,
arms and
God.
all. Short arms.
Ugh.
Is he to blame for the bad play of Drake May throughout the playoffs? And let me start with you, Chuck.
I mean, sure, he has to take some of the blame. But the reality is maybe Drake holds the ball too long. Maybe the offensive coordinator didn't set plays up knowing that the offensive line is not great. I mean, that's 5 sacks. I think he had 5 sacks in each of those three playoff games. The last 3 playoff games he was in, he had 5 sacks and 5 turnovers. That don't sound like a recipe to win to me. So, sure, he doesn't have to take all the blame. The offensive line didn't play well, but and I found out later they say the left tackle had an injury, so maybe that was why he didn't play so well.
Well, I don't know. He just looked bad. Larry, your thoughts?
I just don't think they were that good. I think they were a decent team, but I just really didn't see them. They were, I thought, kind of lucky to be there. I thought the path there was easier for them. Got a big break when Denver beat Buffalo, because I'm not sure they're going to beat them. So like I said earlier, I'm not sure the AFC put their best team there, but things broke right for them during the playoffs till they got to the big game.
And the NFL loved just that kind of result, because next season, this upcoming season, there probably will be the unexpected team in the Super Bowl. Greg, do you agree with that?
I do. Larry, I'm not even sure they beat Denver with the healthy Bo Nix. I mean, I got to tell you, they scraped by getting there. But one thing I'll tell you that I've observed about the NFL is if there's a rookie corner or somebody new comes in the game, they go after him right away. And they keep going until you fix it. And they didn't fix the left tackle, and they kept going at him. I mean, they were coming at him. And I thought it was kind of subpar coaching for Vrabel to not fix that. I mean, you got to, I don't know if you double up. I don't know if you put a tight end to help him, but you got to do something. And they didn't do anything to help him. And they just ran him over all night.
Let me ask you guys this, and I'll start with Larry. If Josh Allen had been in that game, how do you think he would have approached that? Do you have a thought on that, Larry?
Well, I think it definitely been a more competitive game just by his experience. I mean, he's just flat out better than Drake May, despite Drake May finishing number 2 in MVP. I think right now, Josh Allen is just better. He normally plays well in big games. This year he had like a bunch of turnovers, even though other than the turnover, he still played well in the game that they lost to Denver. But no, I think it's much different. I still think Seattle wins, but I think we might have had more of the battle that we thought we would, a more battle for a longer period of the game, I should say.
Let me go to Chuck on this question. If New England had, what do I want to say here? If New England had approached the game a little differently, no, I don't want to ask that question. Let me ask you this. If New England had pulled Drake May, and again, that would have been very, very controversial. Would that have been a way to go? Because it looked like he was not fit for that game. And maybe injuries were the responsibility of that or the cause of that. I don't know. What do you think?
I want to jump on Larry's point. They just weren't that good. They really weren't. Let me tell you why I say that. The running game. Drake May led the team in rushing, right? He had 35 yards rushing. He led their team in rushing. Quite frankly, Darnold, he didn't set the world on fire. He missed a couple of shots where he had Big Bud wide open. If he hits him, touchdown. He missed a couple of throws. So even though the score was 9-0 at the half, it looked to me like they just destroyed them, and the score was 9-0. So I just thought that Seattle was better, top to bottom, and sure, New England's defense was okay, but Seattle was just a much better team.
What do you think, Greg, the Seattle will do for next season, and how do they prepare to repeat? Because it's very difficult. They're going to have an equally difficult schedule, if not the most difficult schedule in the league.
I think. Listen, I think they're going to get better. Teams like that understand how hard. I think they now understand. They have a baseline for how hard it is to get to the Super Bowl. Their starters are good. They're going to improve their bench. They're going to improve their backup players, because every team that lost a key player without that what I call next guy up football mentality, those are the teams that got bumped out. And so I think you may not see any difference, any change in their starters, but you will see some players being drafted playing in a backup role that if Walker goes down or if Darnold goes down, you're going to see some next man up football. They understand what it takes nothing makes a team hungrier than winning a Super Bowl, because you want to get back. Once you taste that wine, like Muhammad Ali said, it's hard to put it down.
Larry, let me ask you about Sam Darnold's play, and can he replicate that next season? And he's one of Chuck's favorite players now, and I understand that. He played well. What do you think, Larry?
I think he's played well enough that he's your quote unquote game manager, and he has enough players around him. And I have nothing but praise for him. I mean, 2 years in a row, he showed us what he could do when he had players. And I still think he got a kind of a bum rap. He didn't play well early on, but in the first 2 years with the Jets, he was with a team that was tanking. I mean, that's it's hard for anybody to overcome that, especially you're going to put a rookie in that place. He's not a Hall of Fame quarterback, but I think he's more than adequate.
What else does he have to do, Chuck, to solidify his position? Now, he's been with 5 different teams. No quarterback with 5 different teams has ever won the Super Bowl. But he's certainly better than a lot of the quarterbacks who've actually won the Super Bowl. What do you think?
Well, I think he went back. I mean, I want to look at the glass and say it's half full versus half empty. I know you like to focus on the half empty part.
I'm coming around.
The dude went 14-3 2 years in a row and won the Super Bowl. What he had to do, and he did it the last few games, especially in the playoffs, and especially in those Ram games and the 49er games, he stopped turning the ball over.
There you go.
If he stops turning the ball over, let his defense do its thing, let his running back do its thing, they're going to be okay. Now, he can throw, he can sling it. Look, in Jigba Smith, he was the offensive player of the year. So you had to have somebody throwing him the ball, right? So the bottom line is I think Darnold's going to be fine. Here's the deal, though, on your question, David, seriously, and this is the offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, just became the head coach of the
your son's team,
Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah. And that, as you saw in Philly, as you saw in other teams that have gotten all the way to the mountaintop, if you will, when those coordinators started leaving, like the Ravens defense. McDonald, 2 years ago, he was the Ravens defensive coordinator. Well, how'd that defense look the last 2 years? So removing these coordinators from these teams, I think that could have an effect on that Seattle team.
Let me ask you one thing. Go ahead, Larry.
I didn't have a chance because of the way the questions. One thing that we shouldn't overlook in this game was special teams by Seattle. The kickers did a great job. I think they pinned them inside the 10 at least 3 times. Kicker, field goal kicker made everything. They did a great job on special teams. And that's, big part of the game. Yeah. And, along with the defense of Seattle, I know it was 6 out of 7 possessions that New England went 3 and out. A few of those possessions, they started so far deep in their territory, I think it just kind of took the fight out of them.
I would agree with that completely. Let me ask you guys, the one person that we haven't talked much about at all this evening, the MVP of the Super Bowl, Kenneth Walker. I think when he got those first couple of great runs, that took the heart out of us, out of the team, and gave Seattle the kind of boost that they needed. What do you think, Greg?
So I think one thing I noticed about Kenny Walker, man, he never goes down on first contact. That's the first thing. But he also has the best feet, the best jump cuts. He's a patient runner. And I think that it's just a matter of time. He's so explosive that all you got to do is keep giving him the ball. The run of his that got called back, the touchdown, I thought that was kind of a cheesy call. And it was an incredibly well executed play. And I'm so glad that he got the MVP because as well as Darnold played, and he earned that MVP because he made the plays when plays needed to be made. He did it in the playoffs too. I remember one game he only got 62 yards. Looked like he had 180 yards because he made the big play when the play was necessary. So I'm a Kenny Walker III fan, huge fan.
Let me offer you a perspective. Now, I'm a former running back 50 some years ago, and there was times, and particularly in high school, when I split time. Now, he split time with a guy that was very good, Charbonnet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, the Super Bowl MVP, running backs have egos just like wide receivers, not necessarily as big an ego, but is he going to like sharing time? Because no running back, to my knowledge, my understanding, ever truly likes splitting time. Chuck, your thoughts?
I think that's okay. I think the football is so demanding now, and I just don't see that as. I know I heard Marcus Allen say the same. The point you're making, David, which is Marcus Allen said something like, "Should the Raiders, for example, this next year get another running back to help share it with Giante?" And so Marcus Allen's response was, "If I'm Marcus Allen, no, I don't want no other running back in the backfield. But if I'm the Raiders, yes, I would want to have another running back back there." I'm okay with the two running backs sharing. By the way, Walker is the least of the better receivers of the two running backs.
Yeah,
and in fact, he dropped the pass in the Super Bowl.
Let me have Larry expand on this, but before I do, let me offer a perspective. You mentioned Marcus Allen. It brings me back 30 some years ago when they split time with Bo Jackson. As explosive as Bo Jackson was, who was a part-time player, that hurt Marcus Allen. Marcus Allen was tremendous. He was the second coming of O.J. Simpson. Not quite as fast, but just as shifty. Larry, your thoughts?
I think as long as he gets paid, he'll be all right. And I think his contract's up.
Yeah.
I think things have changed now. Players kind of accept that things are different now.
Okay, I hear you.
I think if he gets paid, what's the problem?
Yeah.
I'll tell you another thing about that game real quick. And Larry mentioned Greg Gonzalez. There were two early in that game. Darnold, I don't know how he got the ball through, but the DB, if they picked that thing off and it looked like it was that close,
that'd change everything.
That could have changed the game as well.
That was a pinpoint pass.
Oh my God!
Doing a lot of tight windows.
Did you
know the first 2 or 3 possessions?
100%, and I'm telling you, that could have changed. That could have changed things.
Let's bring Greg into this. Go ahead, Greg.
The first few passes Darnold threw, they jumped the routes. It's like I was thinking, man, they must have read their playbook because these guys were jumping routes. One guy jumped the route so much he ran past the ball, and so I was thinking either they read their playbook or they did some good film study. Something happened, but Kubiak and they made adjustments. Josh McDaniel made no adjustments. For somebody who's been to the Super Bowl, I thought he called a pretty crappy game.
But isn't that the responsibility ultimately of the head coach that allowed that to happen? Josh McDaniels, great offensive coordinator, play caller, but at some point the head coach got to step in.
They use the word compliment.
But you can't redo a game plan, right? You can't redo a game plan in the middle of the game, especially not the Super Bowl. So the game plan that he put in place and that call sheet that he had, there were no answers on there. There were no answers on. He got every quiz test question wrong. Yeah.
Well, Mike
let me
Tyson,
just say this real quickly. Josh McDaniels is not a fan. Does not have many fans here in Indianapolis. We'll just leave it at that.
well, you can't blame. Look, at the end of the day, Mike Tyson says everybody got a plan. Everybody got
Until
a plan.
they get hit.
You get hit in the head, and then
Till
that
they
plan.
get
So
hit.
I don't know what they could have done except for Donald, not the ghost returning and all that stuff. Except for Donald making some turnovers, I don't think they could have beat them in period. That was just the line.
I think you're right.
And I want to keep emphasizing, despite Walker having 94 yards rushing in the first half,
9-0.
New England's defense was keeping them in the ball game.
Mhm.
They needed to make some
They
offensive
were.
adjustments.
They really were.
They
And they made
had
no
answer.
adjustments on offense, but I thought their defense kept them right there because
They had
it
no
seemed like
answer.
they should have been up by like 20 points to me.
We talked about the keys last week about how could New England. They had to get the ball to Steph Diggs, and they just couldn't get the ball to Diggs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it wasn't until late in the game that they hit him on a pass. I don't know why they didn't try to go to Diggs more.
All right, we can agree.
Yeah.
I think all four of us can agree. Seattle was a better team,
Yep.
had a tremendous,
Yep.
great defense, and hopefully we'll be back again next year as a preeminent team. Now, let's talk halftime. We didn't have Janet Jackson, we didn't have Prince, we didn't have Michael Jackson, but we had the Bad Bunny. Was the controversy about Bad Bunny fair? Let me start with you, Larry. You're the voice of reason. You can bring some reason.
The controversy
response.
being, well, we have some people in this country that make the terms, they say DEI. And I always want to say, what does that stand for? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm a big proponent of, and they make us like a bad term, like it's giving people jobs or not, something crazy like that. But no, it's considering everything that you have. Let's take pride in it. What has put this country on top all these years after World War II is that we're the most diverse country in the world. What I saw was Bad Bunny from Puerto Rico, a place that I frequent, stand up for what I see a lot of the young people down there. It was their culture, their music, the same as Kendrick Lamar did for young Black people last year. He reminds me of some of the stuff I've seen when I've gone to Puerto Rico. I saw nothing wrong with it.
I didn't either. I didn't either. Let me ask you, Greg. You were there. What was the mood and attitude like in Santa Clara?
So I will tell you that I didn't get it before Bad Bunny. I didn't understand. I don't speak Spanish. I got a few words that I can recognize, but this dude's appeal, he is a global superstar. That place, he lit the whole place up, and people loved him. I don't care what anybody outside that has a criticism. This guy tore it up. His charisma, his just his overall persona, man, was just smooth. It was silky. It was fun. It was engaging. They were dancing. It just, the only people that have criticism for him, it's criticism out of ignorance, I think, more than anything. It's not an informed criticism. It's an ignorant criticism. And the dude, his streams went up so much after that. He's on fire, man. Bad Bunny is on fire. And I didn't know anything. You're talking to a man, listen to a man that knew nothing about Bad Bunny. I knew nothing. And I'm telling you, I'm a fan of his, and I still don't know what he said. I still don't know what his words were, but I'm a fan.
What do you think, Chuck?
Oh, so I thought he did a great job in terms of telling a story, but I had no idea what he was talking about, seriously. But it still was beautiful to watch. And what I found out is every day afterwards, I'm finding out what all the symbolisms meant and what he was, part of the story he was telling. And my two kids, my 27-year-old and my 30-year-old, absolutely loved it. So I don't know that music or art or whatever is for everybody. So, it might not have been my thing in terms of my preference, but that's art, right? And I'm just telling you, I thought it was beautiful. And it was about love. It was about positivity. It wasn't about negative stuff, inclusion. And I thought it was great.
I would agree with that. That's how, one of our founders, really we met. And Earl Rush, for instance, we met on the salsa dance floor. And Earl Rush, founder of Real Fellas Talk Sports, was one of the great dancers and promoters of Latin music. And I love Latin music. I don't know much about Bad Bunny, but Puerto Rico is part of the United States. And Puerto Rico has tremendous power in terms of music and rhythm. And I'm glad it got showcased at the Super Bowl.
100%.
I was familiar with him. He's the biggest global star, and he didn't come. I mean, he came into this being that most streamed person in the world. Okay, and I just saw him doing his thing with his culture, and I don't know why anybody would necessarily expect him to assimilate to anything else. Just like I wouldn't expect anybody else to do that. Anybody that Jay-Z and them are brought on, they've been themselves. He has the right to do that too. And
Absolutely.
It was a fantastic presentation, whether you understood Spanish or not.
Absolutely.
Just watch it.
Absolutely. I totally agree. What'd you think of the commercials? Greg? I think we lost his audio.
So in terms of the commercials, I'll jump in real quick, David. I this is probably the first year that I have no idea. I don't know if any, not one of them have. I knew this question was coming, and I don't think one of them caught my attention. Not one of them.
It's one of the least liked commercial Super Bowls that I've experienced. Larry, your thoughts?
I really wasn't. I was at Chuck. I was over our buddy Holland's house. He had about a million people over there, so we were kind of talking. So I wasn't watching that closely to a lot of them. I would hear the people laughing, then I would turn my attention there, usually miss the joke.
Right.
But I did see James Brown get up off of that thing. I think it was regular jeans. That caught my attention.
James Brown, my man.
I have to look.
Well, if you ever hear his regular jeans and then shorter jeans from the back. So trust me, nice music and nice dancing.
I gotta check that out.
Let's see if we got the audio to Greg. Greg, can you hear us? Okay, we were dealing with some audio problems. Greg in California, but he's making that effort. He's giving it a try.
Yes.
So we'll excuse that. The technical difficulties do happen.
And he may not have seen any commercials.
Let's hope he didn't see any commercials.
You know, the thing is, though, seriously, all jokes aside, and David mentioned that he's watched 60 of them, right? It's nothing like Super Bowl Sunday. It's just the whole presentation, the anticipation, everybody's watching it, and it's a good day. It's a really good day, and I think what they're going to try to set it up is that if they add this 18th game, that maybe this thing will roll out to where it happens President's Weekend, so Monday can be a holiday for everybody or something.
Well, next season Super Bowl is on Valentine's Day. Next season, but at some point you can't have a lopsided. You got to have an even number, and 17 is an odd number because it messes with home field in the end, and that becomes a problem. Greg, can you hear us? Okay. We're going to keep trying to work Greg Fenner in because he, again, the only one of us was at the Super Bowl, and he has an interesting and unique perspective about being there in Santa Clara and sunny San Francisco. All right. We're going to move on and talk about the NBA, one of the favorite topics of our Voice of Reason, Larry Abels. Larry, the All-Star Game is coming up this coming Sunday. Your thoughts about the NBA All-Star Game and the format change where we see international players playing against two NBA teams. What do you think?
I'm not a big NBA All-Star fan. I hope they at least try to play a little bit. The idea to try to spice it up, I think the league is trying to be creative, but I hope somebody can get to the players and say, hey, make it a contest. At least try to win the game. It's nice to see some of the fancy dunks and everything, but I'm hoping that, I don't know whether that's going to tap into national pride or not, to tell you the truth. That's what they're hoping, but I'm not sure.
Chuck, what do you think about the NBA All-Star Game coming up and the format change with two American-based teams and then two and one international team.
I think it's kind of cool. I do. I think that, and I think that the competitive juices of the old school guys, KD and LeBron and so forth, versus the young guys, Anthony Edwards and Booker and those guys, versus Joker and Luka and that crew. I just think there's going to be some competition because we, even on our show, say the last 7 MVPs or 6 MVPs have been foreign-based guys, right? So I think the competitive juices in this format, 12-minute games, and then everybody will play each other in a round robin, and then they'll have a championship. I'm looking forward to it. It sounds kind of cool to me, and we'll see how it goes.
I think we shouldn't really overthink it because it's an all-star game. It's an all-star game, and we're going to see things that we won't necessarily see in a regular game. And what's wrong with that?
No,
Basketball has evolved.
I love
Again,
it.
not the same as when Oscar Robertson and Jerry West were playing and Wilt Chamberlain, my favorite player, was playing. It's a different game. And by the way, Dr. J was a monster.
Oh, yeah.
He's good in any era.
I just hope they play hard. That's what I want. That's been my biggest complaint.
And Larry, I don't think they play hard during the regular season, during the regular game. So I don't.
Oh, yeah, I disagree with that.
It's just going to be. In fact,
disagree
people
with
say
that.
I ask people this question all the time. I said, "Why is Detroit so good?" And people say, "Chuck, they play hard.
They like to fight too."
But you would think that should be everybody's answer. I mean, that's what everybody should be doing, right?
I think they play hard.
I think they do play
They
hard.
play
too.
harder than the other 31 teams.
No, I think the players play hard. I think that during the regular season they play hard.
I would agree with that. I would agree with
My
that.
problem is they just don't play all the time. That's
Right.
they take too many days off.
Speaking of fighting and aggression, is it fair that the NBA is demonized for an occasional fight because it doesn't happen,
No.
yet the NHL, the National Hockey League, actually has fights built into the game and excused? Is it a fair thing, Chuck?
Well, they got a lot of equipment on, and they're on ice. So those basketball players, they're some big, strong dudes, and you ain't got a lot of protection, and it can get ugly. So I don't think I want to see that fighting situation in terms of the NBA. And in hockey, it doesn't seem to bother. It's just part of the culture, and I'm okay with that because they got a lot of equipment on.
Larry, you've seen more basketball than all of us combined. Your thoughts on that?
It's a double standard, no doubt about it. If you know the history of basketball, the reason they're called cages is because they used to play in cages and they would fight just like the hockey players did. Hockey started first, I believe, and I thought basketball was something they did to fill their arenas when their hockey team was gone. Fighting was part of it, but we don't really need that in any sport.
No.
All right. The Indiana Pacers beat the New York Knicks last night.
They got their number.
Now, I know I get hazed a little bit from you guys about my Pacers. I got my Pacer gear on, and I love my Pacers. They're going to get the number 1 draft pick. We'll have to see, but I'm pulling for it. Are the Knicks, because they're going to be in the playoffs, are the Knicks the best team in the East, Larry?
No, I gotta go with Detroit. Detroit. The other night, Detroit played Washington, and Washington beat them. They came back the next night, beat the Knicks by like 30. I gotta think they were looking past Washington. Just it weren't there. And all of their players played both games. I also think Boston is very strong, and so the Knicks are definitely good. And I'm not sure what to think about teams like the Cavaliers now that they picked up Harden. He might have an impact on them too. But I think Boston and Detroit New York is good, but I can't put them ahead of either one of those two teams.
Now you mentioned James Harden, and I know Chuck feels some kind of way about James Harden. James Harden is bad in the playoffs, but he is still one of the great players in the NBA. Chuck, your thoughts on the East, and then we'll go to the West.
So I think there's 4, maybe 5 teams in the East that could get there in terms of getting to the NBA Finals. I think Detroit has an edge right now, but New York is strong. And I'll tell you what, Tatum is. He was in the scrimmage the other day. Tatum. So if Tatum can come back before the year is out and is productive on some level, 60, 70, 80% of him. Hey, Terry Reed, thanks for checking us out.
What's up, Terry?
Boston is going to be a threat. They're already pretty good. I think that Philly, if they get all their pieces together come playoff time, they could be there. And Cleveland, they could be. So I think there's 4 or 5 teams in the East, but I think right now, if you were asking me who's going to represent, I think it's going to be Detroit.
Okay, let's go to the West. Larry, is that San Antonio this year?
No, I'm not going to put Oklahoma City down. Chuck said something about Philly that I think is going to apply to Oklahoma City. Everybody's got to be there and be healthy. Now, Jalen Williams came back the other night, and down the stretch he was crushing, but SGA is out now. So they've got to get some continuity. San Antonio's in second place, so they're going to be there. It looks good, and I'm not going to count Denver out there. So I think it's wide open. I think any of those 3 teams has a good shot of winning it.
Chuck.
I agree with Larry. I think OKC, I've come around on them. It took me a year, but I've come around on them. And but they got to be healthy. And Denver, same thing, got to be healthy. Joker's missed some time this year. Jamal Murray is playing like an all-star. They did bolster their bench. And I tell you, the kids in San Antonio, again, if they're healthy and Wemby's healthy, they got to be reckoned with too. And quite frankly, if the Lakers are healthy, if they're healthy and they're all there come playoff time, and they picked up the kid, Kennard, the shooter, I don't know how far they can go. Who knows? Maybe there's one more run in them. So we'll see.
Okay, you know how I feel about that. So I'm not going to argue with you today.
I don't know.
I'm not going to argue with you.
They need to. I think people are underestimating them. The one big flaw Los Angeles has is defensively. They're not that good defensively.
Right.
But they can. If they can get you to Game 7, they'll have a shot at anybody.
They got closers. I mean,
Now, in fairness to your Lakers, LeBron. Well, maybe I'm not being fair. LeBron the other day said they were not a championship caliber team. Was he speaking? What was he saying? Was he trying to inspire his teammates?
Yeah.
I saw that game after they lost to Oklahoma City. Even though SGA was out, but Luka was out too. LeBron has had a problem turning the ball over a lot lately, and I think he hopefully he was including himself, saying we have to be better. But their biggest thing is that they just can't get stops when they need to get stops.
Right.
Chuck, you are the expert on the Lakers. It's one of your favorite teams, if not your favorite team. What do they need to do?
They just don't have. They need tougher players. Like we just said, Detroit is tough. They tough. They play tough defense. Houston, they got a toughness to them. LA, they're just too loose on defense. They don't guard properly. Aiden hasn't stepped up defensively to guard that rim.
He hasn't stepped up his whole career.
But he has moments. There are times he's had decent games against, but
he can't follow it up.
No. He was the number one. So
and they don't have perimeter. The only guy that Smart tries to play defense, but I mean they don't have people in the back or the front. That makes it kind of hard on them. When Smart is out there, he does everything that he's always done. A pest.
Right.
If they had some perimeter defenders, that would help.
It would. But I blame their GM every year. We say this every year for the last 3 years, and yet they don't go out and try to fix that situation. So I don't we'll just have to see who's healthy come playoff time. That's all I'm going to suggest, is that if everybody's healthy, maybe there's one more run in them. We'll see.
All right, the talk is, and we'll end the NBA with this question and issue. Looks like everything is lined up for Seattle to become the Supersonics again. Seattle was a great team at one time. Downtown Freddie Brown.
And what's the guy from Kentucky, the dunker guy? What's his name, Larry? The guy could really, really dunk. He was like
Shawn Kemp.
He's from
Where's he
Indiana.
from? He's from Elkhart, Indiana.
Yeah. Even even with downtown Freddie Brown, he came off the bench because they had Gus the Wizard Williams and
Yes.
Dennis Johnson on their team.
And they had this.
That was a great team.
Jack Sigma wasn't Jack Sigma?
Yeah, Jack Sigma.
Yeah, Jack Sigma was there. Yeah, that was a great
DJ
team.
started there. I don't know, how long he was there, but DJ was there too.
He got a
Dennis
ring.
Johnson.
Yeah,
Dennis Johnson
Yeah, he
got
was
a
their
ring.
starting guard. He and Gus Williams with their backcourt.
right.
But I love downtown Freddie Brown. And,
So-
and he
and they're-
came in just when the NBA adopted the 3-point shot.
Well, he was there even before that. 'Cause when they played
Well, I'm-
Washington, it
I'm
wasn't.
saying
It
the
wasn't
championship caliber happened, kind of coincided with the introduction of the 3-point shot.
well, when they played Washington in 78 and 79,
78.
it wasn't there. It wasn't there because downtown was shooting deep shots then.
And they only got 2 points out of it.
Yeah.
Detroit had an instant offense guy too off the bench. Who was that Detroit guy? What was his name?
You talking about Vinny?
Vinny,
Microwave.
Yeah.
Microwave. That's
Yeah.
him. Yeah. Him and downtown both could come off that bench and put
do
in
it.
25 points.
All right, well, last thing on this last.
By the way,
sport-
Vegas is
Go ahead.
By the
Go
way,
ahead.
Vegas is in that mix too. So Seattle will get a team, and Vegas is going to get a team.
And I think Vegas should get a team.
I
Vegas has
Don't
shown that they
disagree-
support.
Don't disagree.
All right, Winter Olympics, and we'll close with Winter Olympics talk. The Winter Olympics every year. What's your favorite Olympic sport in the winter, Chuck?
It's the skiing. I mean, I just can't believe them cats coming down that mountain at 80, 90, 100 miles an hour on them two skis. And they go a long ways and they're turning and twisting and turning. I just think it's cool. And when they back the camera out and you see that mountain and them coming down that mountain, and if they take a spill, woo-wee. So I don't know. I like the skiing.
Larry, what do you like in the Olympics, Winter Olympics?
I'm not really a big fan of the Winter Olympics, but I have respect for skiers, luge, anybody that do about 1,000 miles an hour. I got a lot of respect for them, and I like races, I guess, as opposed to sports that are subjective. So any of the speed things are pretty good to me, even speed skating.
I like the speed of the Jamaican bobsled team. They still keep coming out every Winter Olympics, and they give it a good try.
I think I saw the Americans on something. One of these, they were coming. I don't know if it was a practice round or a regular run. There was 4 on the bobsled, but 3 of them fell off. So it was just one guy in the bobsled coming down. I don't understand the winter. All those winter sports, I don't necessarily understand them. I just think some of the
Well, we get 4 years to kind of bone ourselves up for it and understand it as little as we can. All right.
And I was rooting for Lindsey Vonn.
That's my question. I was going to ask you about Lindsey Vonn. Chuck, you have been pushing her for several months now, getting us ready for Lindsey Vonn in her 40s and ruptured her ACL and broke her leg. When that happened, was that something maybe she shouldn't have tried, or do you honor the fact that she gave it a go?
I love it. I love it. By the way, she's got a history, her medical history of breaks and tears and this and that. She's got about 15 injuries that have occurred over her career. And yet she still gets up on that mountain at 80 miles an hour and comes down that mountain. So I think she's courageous. I like her. I was rooting for her. It was unfortunate. Her dad said the other day, that's it. She ain't going back.
Her dad is right. That
She
should be it. I mean,
That's it.
she has nothing to prove. She's one of
No.
the great downhill skiers of all time.
But you know what? I remember when Ronnie Lott cut his finger off in the game. I remember with Jack Youngblood, or whatever his name was, a defensive end played with a broken leg. I remember Tiger Woods walking around on that Monday at the PGA or the U.S. Open on there was a bone broken in his leg, and he walked it. So these athletes that can go that extra mile, that shows you they love it. They just must love it. And I'm okay with that.
Okay. Larry, I know you're not a big winter sports guy.
No, but
your
I'm
thoughts,
familiar-
your
I'm
thoughts
familiar
on
with
Lindsey
this.
Vonn.
I'm familiar with this story. No, I looked at it as she's 41 years old. She probably figured this was her last chance. If she was 31, she might not even have competed. But she's looking ahead. 4 years from now, she'll be 45. I think she's satisfied the need within her to give it a shot. So, you know, I got respect for it. Again, I have respect for anybody that'll go down the hill like that.
God, me too.
But, you know, I can understand, you know, that was something personal to her. She gave it her best shot.
Well, let
I'm
me
sorry
ask
it
you
ended
guys.
up that way for her.
Let me ask you, Larry. Have you ever gone snow skiing?
I've been to the lodge a couple of times. Up in Vermont.
You didn't put on skis.
I meant to, but, you know, the drink started flowing, so it made more sense to stay there.
Chuck, have you skied?
I have never done it. And quite frankly, when I was, you know, there was a time in my life where everybody said every 2 years they had this Black Summit in Denver, or I guess they rotated, where all the folks go, and it's a great weekend, and you know, it's parties, and you don't even have to ski. And I've always wanted to do that, and I never did.
I skied once. I went with my family. My son took to skiing like he was a swimmer. I went down the slope a couple of times, but you know what scared me more than anything else was the tram going across. I thought I was going to fall out of the sky. It's kind of like getting hit in the neck with a baseball.
I'm not a cold weather dude, so
I'm not either, but I'm glad I at least did it once. I can say that I skied. I was a raisin in the snow.
They had the guy the other day. He was breaking the Guinness World Book of Records. So he comes down the thing. He goes off like the old wide world of sports, and he's airborne for 3 football fields, and it's the longest. He broke the record.
Yep.
3 football fields.
And how old was he? Was he old?
Was he what?
Was he old?
No, he wasn't old.
Okay. Okay. He's a regular young guy.
Yep.
All right. Well, at least he wasn't like us.
No way in the world I'm coming down that slope.
But you ought to try skiing at least once in your life. We're getting old. We don't have much more time.
That's all the more reason that we shouldn't try it.
I don't think you've seen me walk up steps, David. That I barely can do that.
All right, we're going to wrap things up for this evening. I apologize for Greg Finner not being able to be with us for the full duration of the show. He had some technical difficulties, but he has a legitimate excuse. He's out in California enjoying the weather there and doing business like a businessman should. We would love to have heard from Greg a little more, but we just didn't. We'll hear from him next week when he's back in Washington, D.C.
He was a contributor. He was a contributor, and he was one of the sent comments in. So yeah.
Amen. All right. Any closing comments, Larry? Let me start with you.
I don't have any.
All right, Chuck.
Okay, so I have one. College, football is wrapped up. I swear, this weekend I just overdosed on college basketball, and I'm telling you, I saw some amazing, amazing games, like St. John's and UConn last Friday. St. John's upset UConn, and UConn was a top 3 team. I saw Houston and BYU, and Indiana and Wisconsin, and Michigan and Ohio State, and last night Kansas and Arizona. Arizona, number 1 in the country, undefeated. Kansas beat them. But the game I want to talk about briefly is the rivalry between the University of North Carolina and Duke, which I saw Saturday night. This game was incredible. Duke led the entire game until 0.4 seconds left. Trimble hit a jumper from the corner. North Carolina won by 3. The fans stormed the court, which I'm okay with too. I just thought I loved it. I just loved it. And so now I'm ready to get into college basketball because there's been some great games, great teams, and it's cool as hell. But that rivalry between North Carolina and Duke, they're 10 miles apart. I think it's the number 1 rivalry in all of sports.
I agree with that. It's a great rivalry. I'm gonna stay with college basketball and a shout out to the only undefeated team in major college basketball, the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. Laugh if you wish.
No,
I have been on that campus. I did a story when I was working in Dayton, Ohio, and I got to meet the great player of Miami of Ohio, probably the greatest player at that school's history, Ron Harper from Dayton, Ohio. I actually got to play on the court with Ron Harper later that year. Playground basketball at the University of Dayton. A great story, and it's possible. I would love to see Miami of Ohio, which, they don't have any prime wins, but they're still undefeated, to go 24-0 in whatever conference. I'm a graduate of a MAC school, Ball State, and I say, go Miami of Ohio. That's the Miami that I really like.
Yep.
Anyway, with that, we conclude. Everybody, thanks for watching. The tens of thousands of people who are watching this broadcast every week. Well, we are worldwide. I'm sure we got some people watching in Nigeria,
China,
in Nigeria, Egypt, Israel,
I'll send the money.
Ireland, Great Britain. Here we go.
Here we go.
That's it, everybody.
Good job,
night.
baby.
All righty.
I got next week.
Yes, you do.